very much, Mr. Chairman. And I want to, just for the record, say, Mr. Chairman, that I think that we should just attempt to get from the General Counsel of the White House a letter saying that this is not a precedent for the DDO to appear in public. My stomach's been churning as Mr. Pavitt's been answering questions here this afternoon. This should not be a precedent for the DDO to be called before any public hearing. And just as we did with the National Security Advisor, the problem is it may become a precedent if we don't get some documentation in the record that this is an extraordinary situation and that it's not to become a precedent for the future. Second, let me say I would have asked John McLaughlin, he answered a question earlier when I was talking about the National Intelligence Estimate that was done in 1995. And I'm going to ask General Hughes a question about this because I got to say, when the court in 2001 in New York heard the testimony of this gentleman, Jamal al-Fadl, he essentially told them in 2001 what he told the CIA in 1996. And it never makes it into the NIE, the National Intelligence Estimate. John McLaughlin said it was modified in 1997, but I don't see any of the detail that I think is important. It wasn't in the NIE that Osama bin Laden, as we were told in 1996, was responsible for delivering weapons to Somalis in 1993, that may have been responsible for shooting down American Black Hawk helicopters. I mean, if the President had been told that, and my guess is President Clinton didn't know it. My guess is that President Bush didn't know it. I mean, I see that court document, I said, my God, that should have been the basis for a presidential daily briefing, not the stuff that was in the presidential daily briefing on the 6th of August, because it's very compelling. And I think it does provide either one of those two presidents with the kind of information that they need to go to the public and say, we've got to take extraordinary actions. I mean, it builds a case of an army that's been very effective, not just in 1998, but previously. And General Hughes, I wanted to give you a chance to talk about this a bit because I want to say for the record that I also had the privilege of watching in December 1995, you, when you were in charge of the Defense Intelligence Agency, implement an exceptionally difficult treaty, the Dayton Accords, that brought peace to Bosnia, a Muslim nation. We stopped the killing in a Muslim nation, and we did it as a result. I don't believe we could have done it without the DIA. I do absolutely believe that we couldn't have implemented the details of that treaty were it not for you and the men and women who work for the DIA. I mean, you and everybody that was working in that shop should feel tremendous pride as a consequence. But I was struck when I saw that of how clear the presentations were, how you processed very, very complicated data and presented and understood it, and then was able to, were able, as a consequence, to determine whether or not everybody was playing by the rules. And I just don't see that coming to the President. I mean, you look at this presidential daily briefing of August 6th, and you say, you know, the top military guy is an elected civilian, kind of busy person, you know, and you look at this document, you see it's not clear, it's confusing. It doesn't bring the kind of sharp focus that you did at DIA, and my guess is that you're having to do a bit of that now at the Department of Homeland Security. And I wonder if you just speak, rather than answer the question, but speak about what we need to do to help these top civilian leaders acquire the information that they need to make better judgments.
Well, that's a very good question, and I would rather not make reference to the past, 1995, 1996 time frame, because I'm not prepared to do that today. I'd be happy to discuss that later after some review of the record, if you wish. But I have an opinion, it's a personal opinion on this issue of the distillation of information and kind of pyramid form. The base of the information we all hold together is very broad and very, what I would call unclear in its original form, as it is delivered to us from sources, sensors, and methods in the field. As it is analyzed and refined, and it comes to the attention of decision makers, the information base narrows much like a pyramid, and hopefully the essence of our work of analysis and intelligence delivery to the decision maker is to get the right information into that top of the apex of that information pyramid. That's a art as well as a science and a skill, and I think it's wholly dependent on conditions, circumstances, right people in the job, many variables. I don't know how to solve that problem with some kind of a magic bumper sticker kind of saying. I think it requires constant work on our part. But I do believe, I hope I can speak for my intelligence colleagues in general, everyone in this business is aware of the problem of losing information, a small detail, a piece of knowledge here and there, as you move up this information chain, which might be, in retrospect, vital and very important. And it's possible that that could have happened in the past, and it's certainly possible it could happen in the future. But we, together, are acutely aware of that and work to prevent it as best we can.